So this tape in their marketing materials brags about upgraded internals and how it's a great tape and it'll last forever and whatever else. And another tape, which a lot of people have been getting sent on the internet, is a Lufkin Shockforce. Now, nobody sent me a Lufkin Shockforce tape because, well, look at how many subscribers I have. Nobody's going to send me free stuff. So I bought both of these with my own money. Bought this from a local hardware store, and I bought this one from ustape.com or ustapes or something.com. So you can see this one's a little bit fatter, but most of that comes from this thicker clip. One thing that people have complained about on the Shockforce is this clip really doesn't give you much to catch there. You can see that. It works fine on a metal tape holder, it grabs right onto it, but if you try to clip it onto your pants, you're gonna have a hard time. This clip is much easier to clip onto a pair of pants or a belt or something like that. I think you'd have a really hard time getting this to clip over a thick leather belt if that's where you want to carry your tape. So, but it's a nice compact size. I really like the end here, the diamond coated, the ears, and the smaller size. This one is diamond coated, and it's almost too big. It's a little bit chunky. The diamond coating is more in the middle and not so much on the edges, so you really need it on the edges. So it seems like this one they've done a better job on it. But like I said, both these tape measures brag about upgraded internals. Now, in my other review, I was hesitant to take these apart because, well, they've got springs inside and I like my eyeballs and stuff, so I decided not to take them apart. But today, I practiced before I took apart this old Klein, which should get thrown away. This one's old, and I took apart this little Stanley, and neither of them had springs jump out at me. So I'm going to take apart and show the inside of the Lufkin Shockforce and the inside of the M1 protape, and we can see which one actually did a better job on the internals. And then also, I'm also going to take apart a Stanley Powerlock. This is a new one, so you can see, because this is probably the most standard basic tape measure in America. So let's start with the standard tape, the Stanley Powerlock. Take off the center of clip. Lose the screw immediately. Where did that go? Oh God, did I lose that already? Jeez. Alright, well, at least it's for the Stanley, not the other ones. Oh no, it's stuck to the screwdriver. There we go. Okay, so Stanley Powerlock. Well, it says right on here, do not open. Alright, well, we'll see how serious they are. I'm going to get some safety glasses. So, safety glasses on. Okay. So I'm going to trust this do not open. It says stressed spring inside, warning do not open. But we'll look at this far because this shows, yeah, it's just standard. Looks like not repairable, not repairable. Yeah, I believe that. So it looks like it just rotates on a plastic pin in the middle. So this just rotates on that plastic pin. Yeah, I'm not going to try to lift that up because the spring is attached to here in the center, so I can't lift this up without risking destroying the tape. I might risk destroying this $12 tape, but I'm not going to spend 20 bucks. So we'll take the other ones apart to this level. Hopefully they also come apart this well. Now let's take apart the Lufkin Shockforce. Let's take the clip off first again. So this one is more compact. It's a smaller diameter spool. It's got a metal pin in the middle rather than the outside one, and the spring just wrapped around it there. Let's look at the other side of the case. Alright, now for the M1 protape. This one has more screws, and it's got some Allens of varying sizes, so slightly harder to take apart in that respect. The belt clip is held on by 3 screws. The M1 tape also has this metal piece holding the case together by the tape entrance, so I gotta take that apart too. Alright, that's all the screws. Let's see. So this also has a metal stud in the middle. My other tape measure measure the diameter of these rolls. So this inside is just about 2 5/8, and that one is 2 1/2, and this one is 2 7/8. Here's the inside of the M1 protape. It also has a metal pin in the middle. Its spring is slightly more enclosed, but there's still openings to get into it. There's no markings on it, but it cuts about the same as the other one, so I guess they're both ABS plastic. Take a look at them. The mold. So both are done well as far as molds go. This one's actually more complex. It's got more little webs around and stuff. This seems like it's going to be a more expensive tape measure to make. It's got all the little metal bits around. Yes, this one has these metal bars, but this one has screws going in different places. And then this straight up Stanley Powerlock. Chrome on the inside too. That's interesting. They must do the whole thing and then just dip it, you know, mold the whole thing and then just dip it in something. One difference between the Lufkin and the M1 is the M1 has this toggle lock. It toggles down and pushes this rod. So this is clicks on and clicks off. And so there's no sort of halfway on. That's kind of nice in some ways. What do you prefer? Sort of liking this one. It's better than my old Stanley Max that had a really stiff tape lock. It was sort of corroded. I don't know, it wasn't corroded because it was gummed up with something, so it just kind of would jam up. This has the standard or the typical curved piece of plastic which slides down and binds up against the tape. Same system the Stanley Powerlock has. Although slightly different. I'll show you when they're open. Let's see, can I show you now? One difference between the Stanley Powerlock and the Lufkin Shockforce is this one will crash into the rivets at the end of the tape. So that means you can lock this tape when it's fully closed. I know you wouldn't want to do that most of the time, but what it's probably good for is if you're retracting the tape and you happen to have it half locked, this isn't going to crash into those rivets. It's just going to, well, this one's not going to crash into the rivets. The Stanley one will. And so you could damage this little locking thing. If you had it halfway locked and you had the tape retract at high speed, it could bump into there. The M1's lock is similar. It doesn't come out as easily, so we'll just look at it from here. But that also won't crash into the rivets if it's halfway locked. Not that you can lock this one halfway because it clicks on or off. So the Lufkin does have this piece here which sits on and covers up the tape. And this is kind of nice because it seals it up fairly well from stuff getting in the side, so if it got dust and stuff in it. But if you got dust in the case, there's not much you can do. It's going to get in there eventually. But that might help its durability, because it might come out too before it gets jammed into the spring and stuff. One thing I did notice, this spring seems like it's got a lot more lube on it than the M1 protape. It's hard to tell, but that could be good or bad. So both the M1 protape and the Lufkin Shockforce do seem like they're slightly upgraded from the Stanley Powerlock. Although there's nothing spectacular in here. These both seem like they're just ABS plastic. There's no glass fiber reinforced plastic as far as I can tell. They do have the nice rubber overmolding, which should help with some of the shock resistance. This one's got, the M1 has a lot more metal wrapping it, so it's less likely to split the case open as far as I can tell. So I'm going to get all of these put back together, and hopefully they all still work. So which one of these tape measures is the best? Well, quite honestly, I'd combine these two. I like the blade better on this one. I like the numbers and without the fractions and the end here. I like the case on this one. I like the belt clip better. I do like the scribe. At first I thought it might be a little bit gimmicky, and for a lot of stuff it is, but I was doing clapboards and I wanted to consistently mark. There was a weird house, so it had a 5-inch reveal, so I just set it at 5 inches, and then I could just put little marks on each clapboard. I had a whole bunch of little short runs I was doing, and I could just, no pencil, just mark them all, and that went really quickly. So this scribe definitely has its uses. It's not a replacement for a pencil, but it's a great supplement, so I like that. But I think the blade on this one's better. So, both of these are good choices. Both of these are really your primary tape measure you're going to have on your tool belt. You're going to use it all the time. You know, your go-to tape. Not saying you couldn't use this Stanley Powerlock that way, but these Stanley Powerlocks are fantastic for putting behind the seat of your truck, in the glove box of your car, just scattering them around. For $12, you get a good quality tape that you can just have bunches of them. You know, for $30 for a Shockforce, or 25 or so, 20, but then a bunch of shipping for the M1 protape. You know, you're not going to be buying bunches of them unless you've got more money than I do. So both of these, I like the rubber overmolding. I think the M1's a little bit thicker. It's a little bit hard to tell. This one also has a nice rubber on the blade lock, so that helps it lock. This one's just a standard slippery plastic. And then this one has obviously the clicky click. I feel like the profit margin for Crescent is way higher making these tapes than it is for making this M1 Pro tape, because adding in this little metal scribe, this other little metal piece, the additional screws, the different sizes, the metal band wrapping around here, they really went full try hard on this tape. They really tried hard to make it a better tape, and I don't know if it is, but it's got a lot of sort of cost adding features. Like this one's very, well, it's upgraded materials from this one and slightly upgraded design. It's still really basic. It's got 5 screws, it comes apart, it's got these metal things which are molded in. This metal pins here are molded in, they're split in half. So it's really a simple design. So if I was running a company, I'd probably pick to sell this tape because it does almost everything this does, and it'd probably be a lot less expensive to make. One trick you can do with your tape measure is pull it out all the way and write your initials. That way, if you write it on the outside of the tape, it's going to get worn off. But if you write it way in the back there, it should stay on there forever. And someone's like, oh yeah, I know, this is my Lufkin Shockforce. I've had it for ages. You're like, really? Let's check that out. So